What if the problem wasn't your goals, but that you just stopped believing in yourself? My name is Coach Judy Mzungu Jabali. I am the founder of the Realignment Solution. And today I want to talk to us about the mindset that you need to be able to have good goals. Many of us growing up, at least if you didn't have a very traumatic childhood, but we were bold, courageous. And in that moment, we had gifts, we had abilities. For some people, maybe they were bright in school, they were sporty, they could draw, they could speak. But as they continue journeying through life, or as we continue journeying through life, we kind of lose sight of those gifts. We kind of lose sight of those abilities. Now, that is the ideal situation. What I painted is the ideal situation, by the way. But you will find that for some people, especially where there was a traumatic upbringing and their childhood, you will find that as they grow up later in life, there is a season. It could be actually in the third quarter of their lives where now you are able to see their gifts coming out. You begin to see the speaker, you begin to see the writer, you begin to see high IQ. Whichever place that you're able to see your gifts and abilities, what you need to understand is that those gifts and abilities is what God put in you. But because of the negative circumstances of life, what tends to happen is that we are unable to pour out what God has put in us because of the woundedness of the soul. The soul, for purposes of your understanding, the soul is like a sieve. If the sieve is full of dirt, it's unable then to allow what is coming from the spirit, which is in your identity. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. So your identity is in your spirit. But because of the woundedness of the soul, then your soul rather becomes impermeable. The whatever gift that is here in your spirit is unable to penetrate and therefore find expression in your life. That's what makes many of us unable to write our goals. You need to understand that your soul is where your mind is. Your soul is where your emotion is. And therefore, when you are wounded emotionally, your mind then loses capacity to be able to understand who you are, because who you are is coming from your spirit. Your mind must be able to connect with your spirit, so that by connecting with your spirit, then your mind begins to understand, I am a creative and therefore I can use these gifts. I am intelligent. I'm a good organizer. But when you are wounded, you don't see it. That's why many people seem to go on autopilot. And so what happens for the most of us is that we will tend to write goals. Because it's 2026, everyone is writing goals. So everyone is writing goals and they're saying, okay, fine, I will pray. You write, I will pray. Everyone is writing goals and they are saying, I will buy a car. Even you want to buy a car. Everyone else is writing goals and they are saying they want to buy a house. Even you want to buy a house. The problem with that is that half the time you don't end up achieving those goals because they are not based on who you are. The conversation we need to have, first and foremost, is to go back inward. And as we go back inward, to then begin to ask ourselves, who am I? That will take us to a place where we can have or begin to take a healing journey. What will that do for you? One, it will enable you for your mind then to come alive again. Then your mind to be able to see, these are my gifts, these are my abilities, and based on that, the vision in your mind then comes alive to say, I am a creative, and with this, I can do this. It is the lack of vision, inner vision, that makes many people unable to write good goals. That inner vision, the first thing that it should see is, who are you? When that inner vision sees who you are, then your mind is then able to amplify and say, with what I have, what can I do? But there's a different dynamic because I'm a Kingdom Life Coach. The different dynamic is having a relationship with God, where then God begins to order your steps, so that with the gifts that He has given you, He will be able to show you how to uniquely use those gifts to be able to fulfill your purpose. That is the missing link for many believers. You go to church, yes, but you don't have intimacy with God. You pray, yes, but your mind is not able to see yourself correctly. You are still wounded. You're saved, yes, but you're still carrying bitterness and anger. And therefore, you are being led more by the things of the world than being led by the things of the Spirit. You know, many of us, when you think being led by the things of the Spirit, we think that it's inferior to how the world lives. As a matter of fact, when you are led by the Spirit of God, because God knows how He created you, He shows you your unique path. And when you follow that unique path, it is that unique path that leads you to fruitfulness. Genesis 1:28. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, have dominion. In 2026, if we are going to change the narrative of our lives, it means we must go back to how God created us. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 23 alludes to the fact that we are spirit, soul, and body, and that we must begin with our relationship with God. Secondly, we must go to the healing of the soul. And then thirdly, go to a place where our mind is then reawakened, and then we can write goals that will lead us to where God wants us to go. In the next video, we will be talking more on what it means to set goals so that then we can fulfill purpose.